Hi, this is Alex, and this is a new story on my channel.
My son used to have a promising career. Now he has thousands of followers who send him pizza money. He calls me a slave to the system because I work as a nurse. Let me tell you what happens when likes can't pay the rent. My name is Helen, and for the last 30 years, my life has been a series of sacrifices, each one made with love for my son, Leo. His father passed away from a sudden heart attack when Leo was just 8, leaving me to navigate the world as a single mother. I poured everything I had into that boy. I worked double shifts in the emergency room, my feet aching and my heart heavy, just so he could have the best tutors, the nice clothes, the school trips I never had. My world wasn't one of glamour. It was the sterile, high-stakes environment of life and death, of comforting grieving families and holding the hands of the scared and injured. My pride wasn't in a job title, but in the son I was raising. A smart, witty boy who seemed destined for great things. And for a while, he was. He graduated with a degree in marketing and landed a fantastic job at a tech firm downtown. He was a junior analyst, full of potential. He had a steady paycheck, benefits, and a clear path for advancement. On his first day, I packed him a lunch, just like when he was in grade school, and cried tears of pure joy after he left. My boy, my Leo, was safe. He was secure. All those long nights, all those missed holidays, had been worth it. The turning point came on a Tuesday. He came home early, his face glowing with an almost manic energy I hadn't seen before. He was practically vibrating. "Mom," he said, tossing his work bag onto the floor with a thud of finality. I did it. I'm free. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. Free from what, honey? The rat race. The 9-to-5 prison, he declared, spreading his arms wide. I quit my job. I'm going to be a full-time content creator, a digital entrepreneur. I stared at him, my mind struggling to process the words. He'd thrown away a stable, promising career for... what? Making videos? I tried to be supportive. I truly did. I thought it was a phase, a youthful rebellion against the corporate world he'd get out of his system. I told him he could stay here, of course, while he got his business off the ground. That was my first mistake. His business was called Leo the Liberator. His mission, he claimed, was to liberate his generation from the slavery of traditional work. His content, filmed entirely from his childhood bedroom, was a masterclass in hypocrisy. He'd sit in front of a ring light, wearing a brand new hoodie his followers had paid for, and preach about the evils of materialism. He'd give motivational speeches about financial freedom while the Wi-Fi bill, which I paid, blinked silently in the background. At first, his mockery was subtle. "My mom's a great person," he'd say during a live stream, a smirk playing on his lips. "But she's trapped in the system. She trades her life for a paycheck. We're building something different here, a community where we support each other directly." Direct support was his euphemism for digital panhandling. He had donation goals for everything. The final straw, the moment that shattered the last remnants of my maternal patience, came on a Thursday night in November. It had been a horrific shift. A multi-car pileup had flooded the ER, and we lost a young girl, no older than 16. I did CPR until my arms gave out, until the doctor called it, until her parents' soul-shattering screams echoed in the hallway. I came home a hollowed-out shell of a person, my face stained with tears, and my spirit utterly broken. All I wanted was the quiet darkness of my room. I walked in the door to find Leo live streaming in the living room. The ring light was blinding. He saw my face, my disheveled scrubs, the utter devastation in my eyes, and his own eyes lit up. Not with concern, but with opportunity. "Oh, hey, Mom," he said, his voice loud and performative for his audience. He swung the camera around to face me. "Guys, look at this. A perfect example of what the system does to you." I flinched from the light, raising a hand to shield my face. "Leo, please, turn it off. I had a horrible night." He ignored me. "See that look? That's the look of burnout. Of being a cog in a machine that doesn't care if you live or die," he preached to his phone. She's exhausted, broken, and for what? A pittance. Meanwhile, we're here, building our own reality. He zoomed in on my face. Guys, let's show Mom what real support looks like. Let's hit a donation goal of $300 tonight to show her the power of our community. Smash that donate button if you believe in freedom. In that moment, something inside me snapped. It wasn't just disrespect anymore. It was a grotesque violation. He was using my trauma, my pain from watching a child die, as a fundraising tool. He wasn't my son. He was a parasite, wearing my son's face. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I turned around, walked out the front door, and sat in my car for an hour in the cold silence, a plan forming in my mind, cold and hard as steel. He wanted to be a businessman? Fine. I would be his landlord. The next Saturday, while he was sleeping in to maximize creative energy, I went to work. I didn't go to the hospital. I went to a small legal aid office downtown. I explained the situation to a young, sharp-eyed lawyer who listened with a mixture of shock and professional focus. For an hour, we went over my rights and drafted 2 documents. I spent the rest of the day gathering utility bills and calculating his share of the expenses he'd been racking up for the past 8 months. That evening, I found him on the couch editing a video. I turned off the TV and stood before him, not as a mother, but as an owner of the property. I placed a folder in his lap. "What's this?" he asked, annoyed at the interruption. "It's a business proposal," I said, my voice even and calm. "Open it." He opened it. Inside was a formal lease agreement for his bedroom, calculated at the fair market rate for a room rental in our area. Behind it was a fully itemized invoice. It listed his portion of the electricity he used for his lights and computer, the high-speed internet he used for streaming, his share of the water, and a monthly service fee for housekeeping, which I generously backdated only 3 months. The total came to $2,847.56 due in 30 days. He stared at the papers, his jaw slack. He looked up at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Is this a joke?" "You told me you're a businessman, Leo. A digital entrepreneur," I stated, my voice unwavering. "This house is my asset. You are an occupant who uses its resources to generate your own income. Therefore, you are my tenant. That is your bill for services rendered and your contract for future services. Business is business, right?" The color drained from his face. "You can't do this. I'm your son." "My son had a job and treated me with respect," I replied, the words sharp as a scalpel. "You are Leo the Liberator, a business entity. And this business entity is currently in arrears." He did exactly what I expected him to do. He scrambled for his phone, his hands shaking with rage. He went live, his face a mask of performative outrage. "My toxic mother is trying to evict me," he screamed into the camera. "She's jealous of my success. She wants to see me fail. This is what happens when you try to break free. The system fights back through the ones you love. Please, guys, I need you. I need to raise $3,000 for legal fees and to fight this." I watched, unimpressed. I let him finish his tirade, then I stepped into the frame behind him. "He's not being evicted," I said calmly to the phone. "He's being asked to pay his rent. Feel free to donate." Then I walked away. The donations trickled in. $5 here, $10 there. His loyal followers, his community, managed to raise a grand total of $412. It was enough for a few weeks of pizza and energy drinks, but it was a pittance against the cold, hard reality of a legal invoice. His online power was an illusion, a fragile ecosystem that couldn't withstand the slightest pressure from the real world. The likes and follows and heart emojis couldn't be converted into a rent check. The next 30 days were a slow-motion car crash. He pleaded. He threatened. He tried the silent treatment. He alternated between being a raging tyrant and a sobbing child. I held firm. I was no longer his emotional support system. I was the property manager, and the rent was due. On the final day, he had to admit defeat. He didn't have the money. His business was a failure. The followers who loved his motivational speeches weren't willing to actually fund his life. The epilogue to this story is not triumphant, but it is necessary. Leo moved out. He's currently sleeping on the couch of another influencer friend, and I heard through a relative that he just got a job. He's working the morning shift at a coffee shop, the very kind of wage slave job he so viciously mocked. He has to wake up at 5 a.m., say, "Have a nice day," to hundreds of strangers, and clean up other people's messes. I don't gloat. My heart aches for the sweet boy I raised and mourns the arrogant stranger he became. Some nights, the house feels too quiet, and I wonder if I did the right thing. But then I remember his eyes, lit up by the glow of his phone as he tried to monetize my grief. And I know I did. I didn't need his influencer money, and it turned out he couldn't survive on followers alone. Sometimes, the most profound act of a mother's love isn't a hug, it's a bill. It's a lesson in reality, delivered with a due date.